Hit that like button, just like Tyson.
Nutty.
I just wanna live my life. Get a little wrong, don't get my right.
If you turn the song, this is just my energy. I'm trying to find serenity.
Okay. I just wanna live my life. Get a little wrong, don't forget my right. This is not a song, this is just my energy. I'm trying to find serenity.
Yeah. Oh man. What's that word? Family. Hey man, check this out. Y'all already know what we do here at Members Only Podcast, right? Interviews is half of the situation. The other half of the situation is we doing community services here at Members Only Podcast. I would like to thank my guest that's coming in today, Alonzo Waheed. Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, I hear you all clear. It's all good.
Okay, boss. Now, Alonzo is here, man. He's a community activist in the building right now. How would you explain it, Alonzo?
Well, it's a campaign that we're looking at running right now. Is one of many campaigns that I'm a part of right now. The one that I particularly want to talk about today is the Fully Free campaign, where we're looking at abolishing 1,300 permanent punishments for individuals that have been released or not even arrested, but still have a record on their background that's preventing them from being able to be fully free. So that means that they can't get certain housing, they can't get a certain job, they can't even, go and get an education just to better their life. So we're looking at, wait a minute, hold on. If I've served my time, or y'all ain't even proved that I've committed the crime, why do I still have this hanging over my head? And so on. We want to get rid of those and make sure that an individual is able to be fully free.
Speaking of that permanent punishment, isn't that something that was like a tool used against the African-American family, like back in the day? Isn't this like an old divide and conquer type of tool?
Yeah, it's more than an old divide. It's one of their major tools that they use. It goes all the way back to an individual having a record and can't move into public housing, right? 9 times out of 10, the individual that had a record was a black male who had to go out and try to provide for his family. If you could remember, like, a lot of people don't pay a lot of attention to this, but just to give you a quick history fact, the reason why Chicago has a red line, and they call it the red line of transportation. When you look at the 95th and Dan Ryan, the L that runs from 95th and Dan Ryan to Howard, they call that the red line. But what was so significant about that is that red line is what separated the poverty from the wealthy in Chicago, right? Everything that was west of the red line, they looked at it that it was all good. Everything that was east of the red line, it was not so good. So when you look at everything that's east of the red line, you would find Bronzeville, you would find Hyde Park, you would find all of the projects. But then everything west of the red line, you found the police stations, Bridgeport, right? This is where the white affluent individuals were at. And then, but what was so significant about that is that your property tax, all right, was much higher if you lived on the east side of that red line. Right. You could not even afford, or they would not even sell you a home life insurance, right? And this is what the big disconnect is. Individuals don't understand that after the World War, when they gave you the GI Bill, that this was a law that was written into effect to say that individuals with FHA loans, that for you to receive a FHA loan, you could not live, right? In that you could not live across that line. And if you did live across that line, they wouldn't give you the FHA loan. And when we look back now, we realize that through those FHA loans, individuals was able to purchase houses. Individuals able to purchase houses and use that as leverage to push their kids through college, right? Because they can get a loan to say that I have a house and I can pay my child's college tuition because I have a home. So this was wealth building.
Yes, but generational wealth. Yeah,
generational wealth. But then when you look that we had individuals in the Robert Taylor's home paying for a couch paying 50 years for a couch or a refrigerator, right? And they don't talk about that. You couldn't even, if you was a black man, you couldn't even buy a Cadillac, right? They would not allow you to do that. So these are just some of the things that has happened to us for real. And these, again, this is what connected to permanent punishment, because they created laws, right, to keep us in this situation. Because, again, going back to the fact that as a black man, if you had any type of record, or even if you did not have a record, right, that meant that you could not live with your family, because they would not give them the aid that they needed to survive. So if your family was on public assistance and you was a black man living in that house, they would take away that public assistance. They couldn't get food stamps. They couldn't get low income housing, right? So that means that the family was separated. So this was one of the tools that was always used, and it's continued to do so. When you look at right now how for you to live in a certain community, right, how you would have to go, and then why I said certain community, because the communities are often changing now through gentrification. But you can definitely look, if you was to try to move into a suburb, or definitely on Plainfield, right, even certain areas in Joliet, definitely south suburbs, Chicago, they would sit up here and charge you. You would have to go and get a background check. Not only a background check, but then they check your credit score. After they do that, right, they could say, well, you know what, we will allow you to move in, but you need 2 times a security deposit, right, that anybody else
Yeah.
Right. And then if you just say, you know what, I can't do that, you don't get that feedback that they charged you. Okay, so imagine you being low income, you're out here trying to find a place to live, right, and you got 2-3 people turning you down, but you just spent $200-$300, right, just trying to find a place, right, which now goes into the security deposit, which now goes into the rent. And again, it's a hell of a cycle that keeps you pushed out.
Let me ask you a question, Alonzo. Why do they do it like that?
They do it like that by design, so that way that they will be able to keep people that look like me and you out of living in their communities. And that's just the bottom line to it. But one of the things that we're finding out, right, is what's happening is they're also doing it to our elders, which is very troubling right now, because it's not me, but now it's Big Mama that can't move nowhere, right? And it's just because, you know what, she's connected to me. Or, you know what, they're looking at the fact that, like, right now we have an issue that's going on the south side of Chicago, in the Bronxville area. On one hand, it's a good thing that's happening, right? We have vacant lots right now. I'm talking about vacant lots that was like they was giving them away for $1. Right now, that same vacant lot, they're spending $50,000, $80,000, $100,000 on that lot, putting a piece of property on that lot that costs $600,000. So I can't afford that. You can't afford that. Big Mama definitely can't afford that. So the individuals that don't look like us now can move into that area. Then they push us out. You know, they open up a Whole Foods there. They open up a Mariano's there, right? And then it's great that now, you know, they're putting food in the community. But again, it's not for us. And they're pushing us out of the communities. You got to remember, this was always a beautiful place to live. You got the lakefront right there. You're 15 minutes from downtown Chicago, right? But now they're saying we want that area. When it was us living there and they didn't want it, they didn't put we was always in a food desert, right? We didn't have no programs or anything there.
Right.
They did not invest in the communities because they did not invest in us, which is another slap in the face, because it shows that if they really wanted to do it, they could have did it. But for me, it's no longer waiting on them to do anything for us. And that's why I'm so proud to be a part of Equity and Transformation, because we work on alternatives for us, not waiting on anyone to solve our problems, but we go and we look at what we need to do to solve our problems for ourselves, such as this Fully Free campaign that said we're going to demand that they take away these 1,300 permanent punishments, to say, hey, listen, we got to do better than that. You don't get to just push us away like that, because what you're really saying is that we're turning this into a caste system, a caste system, where you're going to keep me at the bottom and force me to be at the bottom just so you can always be at the top, when I know I have the potential and ability to rise above that.
How did the program start, Alonzo?
So the Fully Free campaign started through Heart and Alliance. And we're working in a coalition with them. Whereas they, for a few years, they had went and they did studies looking at the recidivism rate and seeing why. See, this is another thing. Individuals like to talk about the problems, but don't talk about why. They're talking about recidivism is so high in the Black communities. And yes, it is, because you're forcing the individual to have to decide on how they're going to survive or starve, right? I'm going to survive. I have to starve. I'm being pushed out. What can I do? So now I'm having to resort to something illegal, which I don't even want to do.
Right.
And then now that I have to resort for this, eventually I get caught, and then you blame it on me because I'm trying to figure out a way to survive. Not saying that what I did was right. Okay, so let's be clear. It's not saying that what I did was right, but it's saying that was the only thing that was offered. That's the only thing that I could do. When you look at any of our communities, what industry do we as a people we own? Right? But everybody else come to our community to profit off of our communities. And individuals don't like to talk about these things because it's not popular. Because when you keep us at the bottom, everybody else can flourish. It's when we start rising to the top that we take away their economic stability. We become stable for everybody else to flourish. And we're like, wait a minute, hold on. If you remove these permanent punishments, if you start taking away the fact that what I'm doing is a crime, right? Or you at least let me start working in the industry, and everything that we touch, man, we rise to the top at it. But what's happening is once we rise to the top, we become a threat because we're pushing them off the top. And see, this is just real basic, right? This isn't something that's real difficult. If I'm going to be competition for your daughters and sons, and you know that I'm going to win, you're going to create a situation whereas I can't be their competition. And that's just about
right. That's just like with the voters' rights and all of that type of stuff. You know, they know that they're not going to win, so they have to cheat.
Yeah.
All right. So,
but I'm glad that you brought that part up. It's one of the things that individuals in Illinois, especially Chicago, right? And I'm glad that you're giving me this platform to talk about this, and that individuals in Illinois still got the right to vote after they've been convicted of a crime. All right. But again, the information isn't out there. And what they tell them is that you can't vote. You can't vote. They don't allow you to vote in the county. Right now, we want it, whereas you got the right to vote, even while you're incarcerated now in Cook County Jail. Okay. Because the truth is you haven't been convicted of a crime. They're just holding you while you're there. Okay.
Right.
All right. And that's 90% of the individuals. But even if you were convicted of a crime, once you're back out in society, your rights to vote have been reestablished automatically. So again, that's a lie. There ain't no truth in that. You got the right to vote even after you've committed a crime. Even after you've been convicted of a crime, you still got the right to vote in Illinois. So if you got the right to vote, use that power to start changing the things that you can change.
But didn't they have that policy going on for a while now, right? Illinois?
Yes, as long as I've been born, it's been going on. But the truth is, individuals didn't tell us about that, right? They told us the exact opposite. It's so many things that's out there that's just straight up lies. And that's why I love the fact that you have a platform like this so we can get the facts out.
Right. You know, when you say inmates inside of Cook County Jail can vote now,
yes,
you know, that's significant right there. You know, how was that? How hard was that?
It wasn't hard at all. The truth is that it got pushed real hard right after COVID. Because again, the only thing we had to do was highlight the facts. These individuals aren't criminals, right? These individuals, well, let me say this another way. These individuals have not been convicted of a crime.
Right.
Okay. So since they have not been convicted of a crime, they're not in a penitentiary. Now, the Cook County Jail is bigger than most penitentiaries, right? The biggest in Illinois, right? The biggest in the country, right? But you're still not convicted of a crime. This is a holding facility, which is a whole nother issue that we have to deal with, right? So while you're holding them there, they still got the right to vote. But see, what they don't want you to know is that with having the right to vote, you could change your outcome. Right. Just by the way that you vote while you're in there.
Imagine voting for the sheriff.
Imagine voting for the sheriff. All right. And see, that makes them now have to deal with you a different way because I got the right to vote, which means I got leverage, which means I got power. Okay. And the thing is, they don't want you to have power. But again, you can bring me on another time to talk about
Yeah. What's the goal of the organization as it is right now, as we sit right now?
The goal of Equity and Transformation is to provide equity for Black Chicagoans engaged in the informal economy. So when we talk about the informal economy, that's individuals that had to figure out a way to survive without a 9 to 5. Right? If you had to figure out a way to survive without a 9 to 5, we want to make sure that you have equity. When we talk about equity, it's being equal with everybody else, right? Everybody else, whether they don't look like you, whether they don't talk like you, whether they don't act like you still are going to be equal to them and still have the same opportunities that they have, right? And so when we talk about individuals that's involved in the informal economy, these are individuals that had to go braid hair, individuals that's drawing, individuals that's beating buckets, having to sing on the train, individuals that's having to get on that corner and sell some weed, if that's what it is. And Kev, you're a sex worker, whatever you had to do, right? Whereas you had to figure out a way to survive, to put money in your pocket so that you can eat, have a roof above your head outside of working a 9 to 5. You're part of the informal economy. And another part is what individuals don't really want to talk about, but it came out in our paper, our economics report, because again, we do the research. We're not just talking about things, we do the research. It came out that even individuals that's involved in the formal economy, they were not making enough money to truly survive, so they had to also have a side hustle, which still pushed them back into the informal economy.
Wow. So you're trying to get drugs out of the community at the same time, as well as bring equality in the and back into the community, which we never had before. Yeah, we never had that opportunity before. What do we have coming up?
I'm glad that you said something. I don't know if individuals call it, when we say we're trying to get the drugs, right? Here's the thing. We was a big proponent, and not only a proponent, but we helped to push to get the legislation passed for HB 1438. And
could you explain what HB 1438?
HB 1438 is the legislation that was passed to decriminalize marijuana, so to make marijuana legal to sell, right? And outside of for medical purposes. So with that being passed, one of the things that individuals don't understand, right, is that if you and I was to sell a pound of weed, 10 pounds of weed 5-10 years ago, right? They'll be like, man, you the scourge of the earth. I can't believe you tear down your community. You got these blocks on lock, y'all doing all of this, right? You was demonized by the church. You was demonized by the community. Police definitely demonized you because it was all a way for them to profit at that time, right? But right now, then they took you and they locked you up and they said that you're no good, right? This is what they would say to you. This is how they would treat you. And then they not only wouldn't penalize you, but they would penalize everyone that's connected to you, right? But they're not understanding that this was the industry that was in your community. This was the industry that provided the milk and the Pampers for your child. This was what kept a roof above your head. Commonwealth Edison didn't ask you if you sold weed. Okay, but they sure accepted that check, and then they cut your lights off, right? If you wasn't able to send that in. And the reason why I say that is because now, after we've had the legislation passed, we see individuals that don't look like us, the ones that's making the most money off of this. And these individuals are touted as geniuses and experts in this field, and so progressive and revolutionary, right? But they were selling the same weed that we were selling, right? So what it points to is that when we do it, we're criminalized, we're ostracized, we're demonized. When they do the very same thing with the very same product, they're highlighted, they're promoted, and they're looked at as geniuses, right? And the only thing that's different is the color of our skin. And we saw this same thing happen with the numbers game, when it was the numbers game, which was the numbers game helped to feed about 90% of the individuals in the Black community and provided jobs for them. It was elite. All right. But the minute that they turned it legal and they called it the lottery, right? And they told them that, you know what, the money was going to be able to go to the schools and it was going to be able to do all of these positive things. They allowed the lottery. But how many Black people, right, is that taken care of? Then if you want to go back even further, they did the same thing with the prohibition. It was black people that was running the liquor. It was black people that came up with the great recipes for the liquor. If you don't believe that, you can go and look at Jack Daniels right now. You can go on their website. They had to admit there was a black man who they stole that recipe from, right? But again,
I think his name was Uncle something.
it's on their website.
Yeah,
You can go and you could check it, right?
They made
again, I say all these things to say that again, when we're doing it, we're demonized and we're looked down upon. When they do it, right, and make billions off of this, they're able to take care of their families, right? They're able to take care of, like you mentioned it earlier, generational wealth forever, right? But when we're just trying to do the same thing, all right, why is it that we come against so much? And it's because the laws that's written and they haven't been designed for us, and then we have to have a way to fight back against this. So that's what we're really looking at. That's what true equity is, and that's what we're going to continue to fight for until we get it. It's not a thing whereas at this point we're asking, because if you're going to ask for it, it's up to them whether they decide to give it to you or not. We're demanding this and we're showing that we're getting it.
Well, how could the people reach you guys from our listening audience? How could the people reach you guys if they wanted to do anything as far as donations or contributing or even volunteering?
They can go straight to our website at www.echicago.org.
All right, so you guys got a Facebook page, anything like that, Instagram page, post?
Yeah, let me look it up for you real quick. But matter of fact, once you go to www.echicago.org, it gives you all of our information right there, all of our social media handles, everything is there.
All right, so tell us about the monthly meetings that you guys have.
Yeah, so the third week of every month, we have a monthly meeting just to catch everybody up on what we're doing. Like I said, this is only one of 4 campaigns that we're doing right now. We also have the United We Eat campaign, where we look to work with individuals in the Black community to feed the Black community. So we work with Black farmers. Last year, during COVID, we was able to feed over 500 families. Then we was also not only be able to feed 500 families, we was also able to give mutual aid to individuals in the Black community that went towards being able to pay their rent, being able to get them food, clothing, whatever the issue was. We didn't ask them to jump through any hoops, to come through any trainings, that they had to sign their name here or there, do this and that. We knew that the community needed the funds, so we put the community in the hands of the people who knew what to do with it the most, and that's the person that needed it. We also did that. The other thing that we're working on right now is a GI pilot in the West Garfield area, where we're looking at individuals that was affected by the war on drugs between the ages of 18 and 35. We're looking at giving them $500 a month for 18 months. And again, it's no hoops or nothing that they have to jump through. If they live in that area, they've been affected by the war on drugs. We're looking at, man, you put your name in a hat, you get chosen out the lottery, you're going to get the $500 for 18 months. Again, this is us taking care of us, and we're showing that it works, right? This will keep individuals from having to resort to just, man, if you're drowning, you're going to be fighting like hell to do what you need to do to survive. And anybody that's in the way can get hurt. We're trying to keep individuals from not having to do anything like that. And the truth is, it works. If you got a little something, you can figure out how to survive and not having to resort to something that you don't want to do in the first place. But you know, this is the time for real talk. So it's that, and then it's the big payback, right? The big payback campaign, which one is, man, I'm so excited about that. Is that we're looking at getting the HB 1438, we're looking at getting it amended to say that we want the money that's coming in from the cannabis tax sales, we want a portion of that money to come back into the Black and brown communities that have been devastated by the war on drugs. And we want the individuals that have been affected, for them to receive a check, period. Point blank, period. They get a check. They will, because here's one thing that they don't talk about. This war was a targeted war on our people, right? And this, we demand reparations for that. So again, we're not talking about it no more. We're looking at this, and one of the biggest parts of reparation is non-repetition of that harm. Okay, so we want to make sure that the laws are passed to make sure that they can't do this again, because even when you look at the legislation has been passed to decriminalize marijuana, we still got black individuals still being locked up at
On a
4 or
daily
5
basis.
times the rate for it. So you're still doing the same thing. So now it's time to get to work. It's time to quit talking about it. It's time to get out here and do what needs to be done. And that's demand that they set this right, right? And so if you through talking about it and you want to be a part of this, all you got to do is go to the website, the social media handles there. Man, you can go right in there. You can sit down with me. You can have a meeting with me. And man, we're out here getting it done. We're making it happen. But one thing I know is that one individual can do a whole lot. Like, the truth is, if we talk about you need a whole lot of people, you need a whole lot, you need one person who got their mind made up that it's going to happen. But imagine if you got 5 individuals with their mind made up, if you got 10 individuals with their mind made up, you got 100 individuals with their mind made up that realize that it's something bigger and greater than them, and they're not just changing things for themselves, right? They're changing things for the generations to come, which is another thing that I'm proud of, is that we just got the other bill passed with the Illinois Breathe Act. Like, people don't understand, like, that is so major. Like, we got it done now, but individuals for generations are going to be able to feel the effects of that, because there's no more cash bond in Illinois. Like,
Right.
that means that you don't have to pay to get out, right? So think about that for a minute, right? And then for individuals to sit around and act like things aren't happening, they are happening. It's just, you have to become a part of it, and you have to also stop benefiting from it. When you're hearing about all these different things going on, man, figure out how you can go get your record expunged. Figure out how you can go and get that job that you want. Figure out, like, if they pass these laws, how do I utilize these laws to make my life better? Because they've been using these laws to make your life a whole lot worse.
Right. Well, Alonzo, one thing I heard you say Chicago. Is this program just in Chicago or in Illinois?
So most of the things that are the campaigns that I spoke on, they are just for Illinois. On the GI pilot program, that is particularly targeted for the west side of Chicago and the West Garfield area. All of the rest of them is cover the entire Illinois state.
Okay, so you guys, are you working with any national entities such as Black Lives Matter or anybody we need to know of?
Yeah, give a quick shout out to M4BL. They always hold me down. I'm an EJP fellow, so they keep me traveling across the country. Man, awesome work that we're doing. Also, just with that being said, we have that whole network right there that speaks for itself, because again, it's not just us, but one of the biggest things is learning how to network, that we're all in this fight together. We find like-minded individuals that have the same goal. This is how we get it done. Like, man, we have brilliant Black people that's in positions to help make these things happen. And when I sit up here and I can, man, jump on a interview like this today, man, this right here is more powerful than man. You're not only reaching the people, but you're getting the people involved, right? And this is what it's really about. Not just sitting back talking about it, right? It's like now putting your hands to the plow and getting it done. So I love this, and know that, hey, dude, you're reaching a lot of people. Now let's see how many we can move, and that's what it's really about.
Oh yeah, man, we definitely rocking and rolling. And I want to thank you for being part of the show. Keep us in touch. Let us know whenever you got something going on, and if you need to come back to us with anything new, I want you to always feel like you're invited. And I just want to say, man, thank you for coming and joining the show, man. Leave us with any last words, anything you want to say that you may have.
Man. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to come back. I would love to come back and just give individuals updates. The updates that I love giving is that we won. All right, man. For 4 years, I've been at it, and everything that we went after, we won. And I just want that to continue. One of the things I always say is, united we eat. Right? It's equity and transformation, but united we eat. You don't eat, you starve. And I think like this, man, we can get it. Everybody can understand that. You don't eat, you starve. And this is what we're about.
Right. Well, that sounds like a plan. You keep us in tune with every step that you guys take and every victory that you guys win. You definitely are welcome to come here and talk about that particular victory.
Okay. Thank you again.
All right. I want to say peace, man. Peace to the audience, man. Peace to everybody, man. Y'all keep y'all heads up, man. It's like a jungle sometimes. It makes me wonder how I keep from going under. Ladies and gentlemen, peace to you, brother Alonzo. Goodwill and good health.
Thanks.